Alright, I've centered myself a little bit better this time. But now I'm going to be talking about another film I saw just actually last night, actually. It is Annabelle Creation. And let me talk about how I feel about the Conjuring series in general. Since this is in the same universe, I guess. But here's how I feel about it. Love the first Conjuring. At first I wasn't into it, but then after watching it, when it was on home video, when it came out, I really loved it. I think it was just the audience that pissed me off. I didn't see the second Conjuring, although I do have the Blu-ray for it. I just need to actually watch it. But we've got Halloween, so looking forward to that. Then we get to the Annabelle prequel movie that takes place during the Manson murders. I've said this before. Annabelle, the first movie, wasn't really good. Although, considering it was from the director John R. Leonetti, who worked as the cinematographer for the Conjuring movie, for the first Conjuring movie. But also bear in mind, he was also the director of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and that film, oh boy, that just spells bad news. Like, I think I only jumped twice in that movie, but other than that, nothing else about that film was actually scary. The acting, not very good. Yeah, but this one I was actually kind of interested in seeing because I believe the director of this film, oh god, what was his name? This is gonna bug me. I'm gonna look it up. But he was the director of Lights Out, and another reason I was interested was because this was the second horror film from 2014 that I didn't like, but ended up ending up getting a prequel to try and solve the problems that I had with it. The previous movie being Ouija: Origin of Evil, which was actually a really damn good movie. Really loved that movie. Just like the only thing that I didn't like about it was the CGI. But and what's actually kind of interesting is that Lulu Wilson is in both Ouija: Origin of Evil and Annabelle Creation. What was it? David F. Zandberg. That's his name. Okay. If you don't know, he was the director and he was the guy who gave us last year's film Lights Out, which was actually kind of good. So I was really interested to see what he would do with this. Yeah, it's basically kind of the same thing with Ouija: Origin of Evil, where it's like we get one horror film that's awful beyond belief, but then we get a prequel that's actually really damn good and fixes a lot of the problems I had with it. And then, with Annabelle, we get a bad horror film, but a somewhat decent movie. A somewhat decent prequel. Yeah, I'm gonna say right now, I didn't like Annabelle Creation as much as Ouija: Origin of Evil, but I would still say it's a damn good movie. And I guess where I could start is probably with the bad that I didn't like. I thought there were a lot of, because we always go through like a different transitions with horror films since the 70s. Like, we had the slasher generation, and then we had we had the B movies of the I'm gonna go as far as the 50s. We had the B movies of the 50s, and then we entered into the slasher genre by the time we hit the 1970s. Like, even though Psycho started in 1960, it didn't catch full effect until like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s. And then by the time we got to the 80s, we were full in the slasher genre, and then we were starting to remake old B movies. And then by the 90s, we were in like the B grade version of the slasher genre, and then by the 2000s came around, we were starting to remake them. But then we also entered into like, you know, gore fest movies like torture porn like Saw and Hostel, and then we just started to get into Paranormal Activity, which, you know, was starting the jump scare craze, or at least I think it was that. I don't know, but either way, I think we're at the low point of like the jump scare craze. But and a lot of the cliches that usually happen with those kind of movies are present in this film, but they are executed pretty well. But even then, it's like you can definitely tell where this film's going to go, how it's going to do it, and it gets pretty obvious, but it tends to drag. So that got a little annoying. So far with the orphan girls that we focus on, you only focus on about 3 of them total. And there's like 5 of them. No, wait. 6. My bad. I miscounted. You only focus on 6 of them. And, yeah, half of them just don't really... Actually, 2 of them really just don't do anything. What else is there? I was a little bit, what else did I not like? I guess the way, what was it? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It's like, I just by the time I'm recording this, I just woken up. So I'm not 100% here, so bear in mind. Yeah, I guess the explanation for Annabelle's origin probably could have been, you know, done a little bit better, but that's just like an editing thing. Like, the first thing we see is like, you know, Annabelle and or actually they don't really announce who the daughter's name is. Wait, do they? It's like only been like last night since I seen the movie. Oh, sorry, I thought I messed up the camera. But yeah, it's like it's only been since last night since I seen the movie, and I'm like, I'm starting to forget it. I mean, I do like it. Don't get me wrong. Come on, well, I'm just trying to forget what the little girl's name was, because I don't think it was Annabelle, but I think it was like B or something. Hold on. Okay, it was Annabelle. Okay, never mind. I guess I was just wrong. Come on. But yeah, I did like the child performances in this movie. Wait, where? I'm lost now. Crap. Okay. Yeah, I thought the way they could have shown the backstory of Annabelle could have been executed a little bit, or edited a little bit better. Like, you know, we see it later on in the film, and we get the story of what's going on beforehand, or like, because they do show like the backstory of like the family. Right up until the point where Annabelle gets hit by the car, which which, while cruel of me to do, it's like that actually was one of the bits that made me laugh really hard. Kind of like with what they did with the trailer for it, where Georgie just runs into like that blockade post, and I'll get to that eventually. Yeah, yeah. Aside from it being a bit predictable and wishing the backstory was a little bit edited better, this is still an impressive film. It definitely looks like it would belong in the Conjuring universe and would look like it belongs in theaters. And I like how they were able to reference that the original Annabelle doll was actually just a plain old Raggedy Ann doll, and that the doll, the Annabelle doll that they show in the movies, is a completely different, a little bit different. And I do like how they were able to connect it to the previous Annabelle movie by, putting things all together at the end. Especially with the Manson murders involved. That's still a weird thing to talk about. Just the fact that the previous movie had Manson murders. But yeah, it's still and it's also got some pretty good humor to it as well. Like, there's one joke at the end where they ask who wants the doll after it's been like, there was like one joke where it's like, who wants the doll? And what else? There was like a one bit with a scarecrow that was actually kind of funny. Yeah, and I guess before I sign off, I definitely want to talk about the exclusive clip that they showed of it before this movie started. Yeah, and I like how it goes is it's basically, it starts off with Stephen King introducing the scene, talking about it, and then talking about how he's glad to show you this exclusive scene from the new movie. And I think the amount that they showed was just enough to get a good impression of it. Like, if there's any reason to see Annabelle creation, I would, even if the film was bad, I would just say just go watch it for that exclusive clip, or just wait until like the movie comes out, I guess. But yeah, it's the scene where Pennywise meets Georgie, and yeah, Bill Skarsgård, he's got this nailed down. Like, this might be one of the few films that I've actually been excited for in such a long time. Like, we're not, like, don't get me wrong, the miniseries is only enjoyable just for Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise, but rest of the series wasn't that good. But with this, I'm hoping I'm really looking forward to this movie. Other than that, I think that's all I got to say. Just go see Annabelle Creation. It's a good movie. I wouldn't put it as far as to say I liked it as much as the first Conjuring movie, but it's definitely a film that I would recommend. Still need to see Conjuring 2, so I'll probably get around to that later on in the year. Yeah, so with that, I should probably get to recording. So, yeah.